Hello and welcome to my channel. The aim of this video is to show you how to install Reticulum Meshchat on Ubuntu 22 in a way that it can serve up its desktop interface via a local area network and can be viewed on a web browser on another machine. And I take notes so I can remember how to do these things. I'm using Ubuntu 22, which is the screen that you're looking at here, which is already updated, so I won't go through these steps. And I want to be able to run Meshchat on this machine and to be able to view it via the network. Now previously, in one of my other videos, I showed how to use an app image version of Meshchat, which runs fine. You just run it with / and then the Meshchat version .app image. It works, but it only serves on the local host. That means this machine itself, which would be either known as localhost or 127.0.0.1 as an IP address, and then with the port number 8000 on the end. That works, but it doesn't go via the network. If anybody knows why that might be, please let me know. I played with it for a bit, but then I decided to do it differently because I noticed that when I installed Meshchat on a Raspberry Pi, which I made a video about also, you can look up, then it could serve via the network without having to do anything else. In terms of adaptation. So I thought, well, I'll try that install method on Ubuntu 22, and it works. But there are actually 3 places where it's slightly different on Ubuntu installing compared to on the Raspberry Pi. I can't remember where those 3 places were. One of them I marked with an asterisk in these notes that I'm going to go through. The other 2 I can't remember. So you better follow this video if you want to install it on Ubuntu. So as I said, the update and upgrade I've already done, so I won't do it again on this machine. But I haven't installed Git yet, so let's install Git. By the way, I just clicked 3 times on this. This is Google Keep Notes. If you click 3 times, 1, 2, 3, it highlights, and you can press ctrl-c to copy it. This is using Firefox browser. Now, normally I'd want to use Brave browser, but I've noticed if you do it there, then it inserts an extra space at the end of the command, which can be confusing when you paste it into the command line. If anybody knows why that is and how to stop it doing that, I'd also be grateful. So at the moment I'm using Firefox to avoid that problem. So Control-C, and then it's pasted into the command line like that, and it needs a password. What's the password? Only have to enter it once, then after that it'll remember it for a while. Continue, yes. Default is press enter. So that's installing Git to be able to download the software from GitHub. We also need Python 3 pip, the package installer for Python. So Control-C, and let's paste that into here. So that will allow me to install Python packages using pip. This takes a little bit longer. The purpose of these videos is to remind myself how to do things and to check that my method works. Also to help other people who are trying to do the same thing, and hopefully it will work for you too. And if I make mistakes, that's of course deliberate as part of the learning progress, and so on. So that's installed. So we also need curl to be able to download the software. So let's put that in. Oh, it's using a snap. That's why the progress bar goes across the bottom of the screen and you don't get a list of what's happening. That's because it's a snap package. So let's install curl. And then this is going to get the key for the key ring for the where the software is stored. So Control-C, Control-V. That should be quick. Okay, so let's put the key into the key ring on this machine. And then, normally it would ask me if I want to overwrite this, and I have to say yes, but it hasn't done it. That's a bit strange. That was one of the differences to the Raspberry Pi, so this is probably going to go wrong now. We have to install nodejs, and we need to know what version we want, so that's a command for that. Control-C. Okay. You have to use Control-Shift, by the way, when you paste in the terminal window, so that's done that. I'm a bit worried now because last time it asked me if I wanted to overwrite the keys, and I had to say yes. But maybe it was a different machine which already had something else installed. Maybe that's why. We'll see soon. So now we're going to echo into the sources list the source for the package for nodejs. So that's this, Control-C, Control-Shift-V. Just waiting for this to go wrong. Okay, it's done it. Having put in the new source in the sources list, you have to update the sources list with sudo apt update, which will take a second or two because it's got to check. I think all the other packages are up to date. Yeah, the error is not fatal, so we don't worry about it. And then we're going to install nodejs. That's the Node JavaScript environment, which will take a little longer probably. Because what happens is, normally, when you look in the web browser, then it uses a JavaScript extension in the browser. And what I want to do is to use the JavaScript on the machine without the browser, so it can just run it as a service, like on a server. So that's installed. I think I know what I'm talking about. Sometimes I'm not sure. So now we need to get the software itself, which is hosted on GitHub, and it's the Meshchat program from Liam Cottle. Actually, this will get, when you do this, git clone, it actually gets all versions. Apparently it downloads all of them, but it will only install the latest one unless you tell it otherwise. So let's do ctrl-c. So I haven't checked this. It seems very quick, but that's with a 300 megabit per second internet connection, so it should be quick. Anyway, so that's downloaded from GitHub, and we have to change into the directory that it got downloaded into and got created. So let's look in there, ctrl-c. Let's do ls-al to show all the software that's in here. Yep, some of these are executable, which is always good. If you want to execute a program, make it run. So now we're going to use the pip command, which I installed earlier, to install this software, the Reticulum Meshchat. So ctrl-c, ctrl-v. Let's see what happens. So this is installing now that Meshchat on this Ubuntu 22 machine. I think it shouldn't take too long. So while it's doing that, I'll go back to the notes. Okay, it's done it, successfully installed all those things. That looks good. Okay, so now we have to install the Node package manager. And this omit dev means don't install the developer tools. We just want the end user tools. So copy that, put it into there. And this one takes a bit longer and it's a bit boring to watch because all you see is that little thing going around in the corner to let you know it's installing. Looks like it has installed 195 packages. And yeah, mentions vulnerabilities and stuff. Let's just ignore those because it's going to work. So now we have to build the front end in JavaScript for the Meshchat that can be viewed in a web browser. So ctrl-c. This is probably going to take a while as well. This might take the longest. So it's building the front end JavaScript to be able to view it. Okay, that seems to have worked. Doesn't seem to have given any errors. Took 9 seconds to build that. That's not bad on a slow old. It's a Lenovo ThinkPad. What is it? An X260. So it's a little long in the tooth, but for experiments like this, it's great. So if we do this, it will actually run the Meshchat Python program, and it's going to run it as a headless version, so you won't see the desktop GUI because we don't need to see it on this machine, but it will host it and serve it up via the local area network. Let's see if that works. So Ctrl-C, Ctrl-Shift-V. So it's going to start the program but not show us any GUI, no user interface. There's no thing plugged into the USB port. Yeah, so it couldn't open an R node because there's no R node plugged in. And yeah, that's going to keep repeating itself, that error message. And all you see in here is error message. But the important thing is it's running and on port 8000. So if I get my web browser and point it to port 8000, we might see something on this machine. So a new tab. Oh, I've already done it. So the local host address, which I'm going to use rather than typing localhost, if I can copy it, come on, is 127.0.0.1, port 8000. So we do Ctrl-C, and no we don't. Let me make a new tab, do ctrl-v, paste it in there. Bing, there it is. So that is the Meshchat program being served up on the same machine at port 8000, so you can actually use it on this machine. But the purpose of this video is to show you that it works on other machines too. And to do that, I'll show you one that's already running on another machine. So this is working fine. As you can see, it's the latest version, which is 1.20 at the time of making this video, and it's running. So that's great, isn't it? Let's switch to a different web browser like that one, and this is Brave, and this is also version 1.20, and it's being served up from this IP address in my local area network and available on port 8000 again, but this is a different machine that's running Meshchat, and I can view it on any machine in my network, including a mobile phone, an Android mobile phone. If you point it at this address, you actually see this page in three sections actually. So you can scroll from left to right on the screen of the phone, and you can access all of these functions, and it all works very nicely. So I'll show that in another video when I show a mobile R node, which is accessible via an Android phone. So that works. What else do you need to know? Probably not very much. So that's the wrong browser. So I've installed it, it works, and I've shown it being served up from a different device, so Meshchat is available via the network. If I go and look at the error messages, yeah, it still wants to find TTY USB 0. There's no node plugged in. If I go back to the other one, which is here, one thing I want to just look at very quickly is the interfaces section, because I've actually, have I? Actually, no, I haven't. This is the wrong one. Let's look at this one. This is the remote machine serving up a Meshchat interface, and if I look at the interfaces plugged in, you can see it's got a radio R node interface. I've actually set up two interfaces on the machine, and then depending on which one I plug in, then the correct one gets enabled and connected. So either use a RAC 4631 R node or a Heltec V3. Those are the ones, well, those are the only ones I have actually, but they both work fine. I've disabled the default interface that works via TCP/IP because I don't need it. So this is working on the Meshtastic frequencies. You'll notice the noise floor is extremely low. It's worth checking this because on the latest version of Meshchat, version 1.20, which I find very useful, it shows the noise floor of the receiver, and that's the lowest it ever goes because there's no antenna plugged into this R node, which of course you should never do because you can destroy the transmitter if it transmits. But I plugged in a dummy load. It's a 50 ohm load. It's actually an attenuator with enough attenuation that it looks like a matched load. So the only noise you see is the internal noise generated in the LoRa receiver in the R node, and any noise in the 50 ohm impedance of the attenuator, which is very low at room temperature. So I get a minus 114 dBm. You'll see later on when I do antenna experiments, you plug in different antennas, you get different noise floors getting higher and higher with antenna gain, but that's a whole other video. Anyway, I think that's enough from me. So thank you for watching, and please remember to make comments or ask questions. Maybe you can answer one of my two questions that I asked in the video, and look forward to seeing my next video, and please remember to like and subscribe if you want to.